The show starts in 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go.
Whether you're new to sales or a lifetime veteran, the Blackbelt Sales Podcast will sharpen your sword and guide you to master the art of sales. And now, here's your host, the ninja himself, Gene Slade.
Hey, we are live. Welcome back to the Blackbelt Sales Podcast this morning with Gene and Don Johnson. What's going on, Don? Good to see you again.
Good morning, Gene. Good morning to everybody out there. This is the time of the year. This is early February. It's my birthday. Those are my birthday cards in the background right there. So
when was your birthday?
Technically, we celebrated it over the weekend. Technically, I guess it's Wednesday tomorrow.
Nice.
February
Which level
5th,
are you
and I
gonna be?
am the big 5'5" this year. So
You're level 55,
I'm
as
level
Mike Aguilera
55.
would say.
So
So what are we going to talk today? Today we're going to talk about three things that you can do. This is going to be a short podcast, but three things that you can do right now to generate more leads in a slow time of year without spending a penny. What's the first one, Don? We just had a success story about this morning in the group.
Man, what an awesome success story. He just did the old cloverleaf, just back to basics, back to guerrilla marketing, and just when you're at a call, knock on 5 doors around you. Call it cloverleaf because it's kind of the 3 across the street and the 2 neighbors. You might not be in a subdivision where that goes, but the reality of it is it's just 5. You go to the 5 people around, you knock on the door, have a door conversation like, when's the last time you had your system maintained? When's the last time you changed your filter? I'm in the area right now. I'll be glad to go ahead and take care of that for you. You can see I'm with and make sure your truck can be seen. Your worst case is you put a door flyer out. If they don't answer, at least you are picking up 5 to 1 ratio. And again, Luke's
Essentially
story,
the house to the left and to the right of you, and then 3 across the street.
that's exactly it. Again, and if you say, well, I'm in the country and that's not the way it is. Well, you just have to find 5. That's the rule. 5. Okay. Just do this to 5. It doesn't matter where those 5 are. And they could be a half mile down the road. Some of you guys out in the country, it still works, right? They saw your van. If you're out in the country, they watched your van drive by earlier, wondering where he's going. See, it's okay. That van that's logoed, looks good, clean, has hubcaps on it. That was one of my big stickers. Please make sure you're driving something that we're proud of that's got our logo on it. So put out those 5, door knock, door hanger, get those 5 going for you. That's a big thing. Again, we're hearing a lot of guys we don't have a lot of calls. It's a slow week. It's a slow month. It's going to be a slow lifetime if you let it get to that.
And we, I think it was Luke Claypool this morning who shared with us that it was last month. His company did that last month, and as a result, they had an additional $168,000 in revenue that was generated that they could attribute to the door hangers.
Yeah, it was a shocking number when he said it. 150, 160, something in there. I don't remember the exact number, but man, 168. That's incredible. Just attributed to guys doing the basics, back to basics, knocking on a door, having a conversation or putting out a flyer and having people come back. So that was incredible.
Now, obviously, a door hanger is going to cost you money, but you don't have to have the door hanger. Like Don said, you can just knock on the door, say, "Hey, I'm Gene. I'm in the area serving Mrs. Smith. Wanted to let you know that we're out there doing some tune-ups. Couldn't think of a good reason you weren't one of our clients. Can you? When was the last time you had your system cleaned? Could I do a complimentary tune-up for you today and show you what we're all about? We're trying to get more people in the family."
That's exactly it. And you go, well, I don't have door hangers. I can't do that. And my printing shop told me it's, take them 10 days. You know what? Go find some sticky notes. Have maybe, yourself, if you got good handwriting, have someone, you could even use letterhead and an envelope if they're in the office somewhere.
I used
Just
to use
write a
magnet.
personal note.
I used to use magnets that looked like my business card.
Exactly.
And I
Anything.
would stick them on the garage doors as I would walk by the metal garage doors, and they would just click. So when they'd come home, they'd see it going up. They'd like, what the heck is that?
Yep, have to pay attention to it. So anything out of the ordinary, act different if you want different results. If you want to go down to the parts house and sit with everybody else that's doing nothing, you can do that. But come Friday, those guys aren't going to give you any money. So let's make sure we earn our own money. So that was the first idea. What else can we do?
Super tight time schedule today. So you're going to do one, and then I'm going to do one. So you come up with one right now. What's one thing they could do without spending $1 to get more leads right now?
I love this one at a manager or company level. Go back and look at everybody you serviced 6 months ago, maybe 5 to 8, 4 to, it's your time frame. But let's just say 6 months ago, everywhere you did $500 or more, just call them up. It's time for the courtesy inspection, the follow-up, just to make sure that repair is broken in right, that it's not, there's no issues, that all the screws are still tight. It's just a follow-up visit, and get back in the houses where we've already done work. We might have presented a list and they put it off. We might not have even written a list back then. You just don't know, what you've done, right? I don't know that situation, but get back in there and pretend it's a whole new thing, do the whole tune-up, do the full inspection, write another list, and go at it again. The warranty follow-up is ones guys just aren't doing. They're like, I don't want to go back to some place and do free warranty. They've already demonstrated they trust your company. They've demonstrated they've got money. They paid for something 6 months ago. All you have to do is establish the need that there's something going on with their system. Maybe it's time to talk about the indoor air quality. Maybe it's time to talk about a blower wheel cleaning and airflow restoration. I don't know what it will be, but if you're thorough, there's always something the house could use if it was free. And that's what goes on the list. How about you, Gene? You got what's another idea to generate some calls?
I was going to say I would start from the most recent invoices or whatever's in the CRM, and I would go backwards looking for systems that were 10 years older or more. And then I would do a quality control inspection on either the tune-up that we did to make sure that our guys are doing it up to our standards, that the leaves are out of the condenser, right? It's done right. And then I would convert those conversations into replacement conversations. So just slightly the same as what you're talking about, but maybe a little bit different. Right. The third thing that I would do if I owned a business today, or I was a technician out there and I needed calls, is I would start reaching out to all of our customers and schedule ductwork pressure tests.
Yes.
Ductwork pressure tests. And I would come up with, some kind of conversation. Look, during the slower time of year where we're not so busy, this is where we go out and we do tune-ups or pressure tests on duct systems to make sure that they're not leaking, make sure that you're not wasting money into your crawl space or your attic, make sure you're not sucking in any fiberglass insulation or anything like that. And, that it's not choking the life out of your system. I don't know if you guys know this out there, but most systems are a max of 0.5 duct pressure. And if you go over that duct pressure, that you exceed the motor's ability to move the right amount of air. So you're not evaporating refrigerant properly, you're slugging compressors. It's a really, really, really bad thing. And most systems leak. The Department of Energy says that most systems leak between 25 to 30% of the air that goes through them. So guys, if you sealed those duct systems up, which I love, I know a lot of you out there selling duct sealing, but some of you are selling it and when it should be a replacement duct system and a duct seal, right? Mm-hmm. If you seal up a duct system that's already at 0.5, you're probably going to push it to 0.6, 0.7, 0.8, and you can push the compressor into a heart attack as well as the indoor blower motor. Wow. So, John, when I moved to Florida, the second job that I had was going behind a guy that sold systems, and then I would have to sell the ductwork after he had sold a $12,000 or $18,000 system. And it was a really, really difficult job because most of the time we were using multiple finance companies for just the equipment, right? But I remember selling just in ductwork over $1 million in ductwork in 6 months at that job. And this was 20 years ago. There's so much money in ductwork, guys. There's so much. And if you don't know how to sell it, reach out to me I will connect with you. I'll show you how to sell it. And you can get as much, I would venture to say, Don, that there's as much money in duct systems as there is in systems, and that the contractors and technicians out there and salespeople are leaving at least 50% of the money on the table.
I would agree. And I love the saying Rick had this morning, where you're aware that the majority of compressor damage is due to an improper airflow. Lack of airflow, not the right airflow,
Yep.
or improper airflow, however you say it, is that the airflow is what kills compressors. So
If you're not checking with a MagnaHelic, if you're not checking the duct pressure on every single job that you are on, guys, don't trust the last guy's numbers if you have them. But if you're not checking the duct work on every single call that you go on, I believe that you're selling your customers short, and you're not being professional. You're not doing as good a job as you could do for them.
I agree. And there's not enough of the HVAC technicians out there that are truly checking that. There's a whole business of just being a ductwork company that you could do. You could absolutely sell it. There's a huge need for it because, again, most technicians don't look at it, don't check it. Probably less than 10%. You might even go only 5% of the real technicians out there are checking static pressure, as the engineering world wants to call it. We like to call it duct pressure because it's much more understandable for our clients. It's just the pressure the ductwork puts on the motors. And so there's a huge business for it out there. And so I think everyone should go into the ductwork business right now, and especially before somebody else in your business, in your community, becomes the expert and you have to chase them. Become the airflow expert. Become that. Had a friend that had, and Chris Lucky, good to see him on here. Haven't talked to him in a long time. So, but I have a friend that has an airflow department. If your company hasn't got an airflow department, they're just using the installers when they're slow, it kind of shows that you're not really committed to it. So it's time to start thinking about an airflow department in your company. If you're the owner or manager, what would it take to do that? How many jobs do you have to sell to justify an airflow department and make this a profitable profit center situation? So airflow is incredible. So Lucky there is giving us some ideas. Follow up on estimates. Yeah, we definitely know that one way to generate some more work right now is follow up on all your past estimates. Those are out there. But if you're a technician, what can you do let's say there's just not much. What can you do? Let's get in houses. Whatever it takes to get in houses, that's what we're looking at. I love the quality control. Just go back through. Why didn't you go ahead with a new system when they were out there? So they didn't talk about that. That might bring up a conversation.
I'll tell a quick story about that.
Yeah, go ahead.
So an old mentor of mine, I won't say his name. One day he was walking through the office, and he was a straight salesman, comfort advisor. And he walked through the office and he noticed that this was back in the days, Don, you and I remember this, right? Where we used carbon copies.
Yeah.
And it was like a 4-part carbon copy that this company was using. And the pink copy, the girls used to just tear it off and throw it away in the garbage can. And he walked by one day and he was like, "What's all of this?" And they were like, "Well, it's just the extra copy that we don't need to save or store. We don't do anything with them." And he started picking them up and looking at them. He said, "From now on, could I get you to set these on my desk as opposed to throwing them away?" And he started to go through them, and he would find systems that were 10 years old or older, because it was here in Florida. And he would just call up that client and he'd go, "Hey, I'm so-and-so from XYZ company, and I'm part of the quality control team here. And I noticed that you had a repair last week for $800. Was wondering if you're going to be home for the next hour or so I could slide by and take a look at that repair, make sure everything was done up to our standards." Client would say, "Yeah." He'd walk out, take a 6-in-1 with him, open up the air handler, open up the condenser. And while the client was over his shoulder, while he was at the air handler, because you go to the condenser first, he's at the air handler, he might sigh or something. He might go, while not looking at the client. And you go, "Mr. Smith, would you mind sharing with me why, when the technician went over your options to repair the system versus replace it, why you chose to repair it versus replace it? And he wasn't even looking at him, like they're behind him. And the client would go, well, he didn't go over any replacement options with me. And he'd go, Mr. Smith, it's part of his training. It's part of his job when a system's 10 years old to give you a replacement option. And you go, I swear he didn't do that. And then you go, well, it's not as if you would have considered replacing it at that time anyways, is it? And they would go, I don't know. How much is a new one? And he would literally just give them a price. No presentation, no nothing. 5,500, 2,500, 20,000, whatever it was. And the clients, like, seriously, they would buy. Like 8, 9 out of 10 times he was selling these systems. And he eventually ended up going back to his boss. I say eventually, same day, he went back to his boss. And he goes, Kevin, I don't need your leads anymore. He was like, what are you talking about? He says, I don't need your leads. I'm going to find my own leads. I'm going to make my own sales, my own customers, blah, blah, blah. You think the boss was upset? Hell no. He was picking up money that everybody was leaving behind. Right. So that's something that you guys could do today. Don, I do have to end this podcast because I've got to get going. But is there any parting words that you have for the people?
Well, this is the time of the year. Back to basics. Stay active. First level is stay active. There's nothing you can do. There's nothing you can sell at the parts house to other techs. There's nothing you can sell sitting around the office. Let's get out there. Let's knock on some doors. Let's go back to the basics. Let's make our lists. And let's go from there. And again, I love the quality control check. I love the 6-month to 8-month warranty check. It's the same thing as a quality check, but it's looking to those systems 6-8 months ago, how to get back in the door. If you hadn't been selling maintenance agreements a little late, start selling them so that next year you've got a maintenance list to go. You got to plant seeds right now to get maintenance people next winter so you're not as stressed right now, right? Stressed over cash flow, stressed over item. There was a Facebook post that somebody said, what do I do when you're in a slump? This was told to me years ago in the sales world. Find a product, fall in love with it, and be willing to just go tell the world about it. You're sitting there pumping gas in the gas station, and somebody else pulls up at the other pump. You're so passionate about it that you'd say, hey, have you heard about what's going on with the mold in our systems right now? Have you heard about what's going on with all the surge protectors messing up electronics in your home and your air conditioner? Whatever your product is, find you a phrase that you can say to everybody. You could be buying your Coke across the counter at the convenience store, and you would be willing to bring it up because you're that passionate about it. I know it's goofy, but you got to have that kind of passion. Find a product, fall in love with it, and tell the world about it. Somebody might say, I don't know if mine even has one. Can you come check and see?
It reminds me of there's a guy named Ian Macklin, and he was going into a Chipotle with a couple of his car dealership sales buddies. And they said, I bet you can't sell the person at the counter a car. And he literally brought up the conversation of something that was going on at the dealership. A conversation struck up. Not only did the lady behind the counter buy a car, but the man next to her also ended up buying one because he wanted the same deal that the guy was going to give the lady at the counter. So guys, you make your own economies. And if you want 2025 to be the absolute best financial year of your life, you're going to want to get down to Fort Myers, Florida, April 5th and 6th for our in-person live sales training event. You will come back ready to, like, loaded for bear. All right. No joke. Guys, I want to make you rich. I want to unleash you. I want to take the chains off. I want to show you what life can be like. You got to take the first step. DM me or shoot me a text. Here is my cell phone number. It's 239-848-6533. Shoot me a text today or whenever you're reading this, let me know what your name is, and I'll get you to my team, and they'll get you some information on that event. Okay, it's April 5th and 6th in Fort Myers at the Regal Cinemas. It's gonna be a phenomenal time. Don, have yourself a great day, man. I will see you on the flip side, probably tomorrow or the next day.
Yes, sir. Have a great day.
See you, ninjas.